This conference will now be recorded.
David Fraza. Is David there? Darcy DeVoe, Chris Godwin, Dick Weatherly, Andy, Tom Boat, and Chris Scheib.
We're down.
Who do we have? Who's not here? Speak up.
Chris, Dave, and Tom.
Tom Boat. Tom Boat, I didn't hear.
Nope. Haven't got him yet.
All right. We've got a quorum with 4 of us available. However, we're probably not going to get through everything we wanted to this particular meeting without more than just bare quorum available. It is 6:02 Wednesday, March 17. I'm going to call the Golf Course Advisory Committee of City of Lago Vista to order. And if anyone else is available to check in that's on the committee, please do so at any time. Do we have any citizens that are participating in the question and answer period? All right. If so, what I'd like to do after the we call the roll, I'd like to stand and have the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. Marcy, we can't see you.
Yeah, she's coming.
No, it's Darcy, but no Texas. I don't know the Texas one, so.
All right. First thing on the agenda tonight is public comment. And once again, I'm going to call for anyone out there in the public that's online with us. Are there any comments? Questions? Very well. We'll move on. Next agenda item are reports. What I asked Chris to do is if he would kind of wrap up those number 1, 2, and 3 on the agenda, course conditions, rounds of play, marketing efforts, marketing plan, update on the new POS system. Your floor, Chris.
Right, thank you, Chip.
Turn up your mic. Can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
That's better.
Go ahead.
All right. So first thing I'll touch on are financials. Right now, the most up-to-date financials that we have from City Hall is through January 31st. So as of January 31st, golf course revenue is $368,947.37. Total expenditures, $343,618.58, which is a $25,328.79 surplus through the first 4 months of the year.
Excellent.
February, probably going to give all that back, and then probably some. Course was closed for 11 days in the month of February due to the winter storm that affected the entire state. Projected revenue losses about $30,000 in those 11 days. So February is going to take a hit, but we're doing pretty well in March as of right now. But that is the up-to-date financials as I have them from the City Finance Department through January. Rounds, yeah. So to that point, just for comparison, revenue is up by $194,137.10. Expenditures are down $21,681.10. The total net gain is $215,818.20 for the first 4 months of the year.
Excellent.
So, like I said, through January, rock and roll and start, doing very, very well. Like I said, February is not going to be as good. Like I said, we got hit pretty hard with that winter storm. So, but again, we're still going to be milestones ahead of where we were last year when those February numbers come out.
Chris, let me
Yes.
interrupt you just a second. Do you
Go
have
ahead.
February's numbers against last February's numbers?
I don't have financials for February yet.
What about rounds of play?
I do have rounds. I was actually just about to touch on that, Chip.
Oh, good. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. So total rounds for, hold on one second, let me find it. So total rounds through February 28th of this fiscal year, total rounds is 14,730 total rounds compared to 8,129 rounds through February of last fiscal year, which is an increase of 6,601 total rounds through those 5 months comparatively.
So you've almost doubled your rounds from last year. That's what you're saying.
Close, 40-ish%. Not quite, but like 40-ish%.
Yep.
I see Darcy's hand up.
Hi, Chris. I'm trying to write down all the numbers. Is this in your monthly report that gets up to the Lago Vista website? All these numbers. I'm trying to keep track, but you're.
Yes, ma'am. So the monthly report only includes the revenue numbers for that month. Since expenditures are a little bit behind, we don't include expenditures in that monthly report. But the revenue for that month, as it compares to the same month the prior year, all those numbers are in that report. Yes, ma'am.
And the rounds and stuff. So like I'm trying to keep up with you and the rounds of play for February 2021. It started with an 8, and I lost you after that. But so
yes, ma'am.
if
I'm
Jackie's sorry, let me finish. If Jackie's taking the minutes and we can watch.
I am taking the minutes and I'm trying to write all this down. I was going to ask Chris if he could just forward me that report so I could put them in our minutes.
That's what I need, Jackie. Thank you.
Chris, do you think you could forward that to me?
Yes, I can get all that info to you. That's not a problem.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. And I was going to clarify, Darcy, those numbers that I gave out, those numbers are from October 1 through the end of February.
Right. That's year to date.
That's year to date. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, and I did break those. So the round breakdown. So we are. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. So October 19 through February 20, the 8,129, that breaks down into 2,482 member/comp rounds and 5,647 paid rounds of that 8,129. That's the breakdown there. And then for the 14,730, which is this fiscal year rounds, 4,323 rounds are member / comp rounds, and 10,407 are paid rounds.
Excellent.
Both
Excellent
of those are up. So member comp rounds were up 1,841 rounds this year, and paid rounds were up 4,760 rounds. Let me see. The marketing plan efforts and the plan is the physical plan is still being finalized right now. We're still working on a lot of social media, Facebook, Instagram, email marketing, and then really kind of getting information on other marketing avenues. I think, Chip, I mentioned to you the billboard. We're still looking into those things right now. So we're still finalizing all those details. And I think I mentioned at the last meeting, once all that's finalized, we'll get hard copies to everyone on the committee, and all that plan is going to council as well. Like, I think we're looking middle of summer-ish before everything is finalized, ready to go before we present it to the public. The new software I'm currently in the process of building out the software. We're hoping sometime in April for that to go live.
Chris, does that software allow you to capture email addresses?
So this new software, it is actually a requirement to add an email address
Excellent.
per person. So, for example, if Chip, Jackie, Dick, and Gina come in to play golf, if I check in Chip, if you don't have an email address in the system, it requires you to add an email address for that person prior to finishing the reservation and payments. Payment transaction. Yes.
That's excellent.
Can,
So we'll have
Chris,
a full.
can I interrupt real quick? You need to make sure that anyone that's giving you their email address, that they click the button that says that you can send them advertisement, because my company does this, and it's called the analytics part of it. And you're only allowed to use someone's email address 3 times for advertisement. And we actually pay this huge amount to get that information. So make sure on any of the paperwork that these people are signing or doing, it checks that you can send them something email. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Good point. Thank you, Darcy. That's a good point. I didn't know that. Of course, a lot I don't know. Chris, on your new software, are you going to be able to pull monthly financials for the golf course?
Yeah. So every software, you have the ability to pull your revenue reports. The expenditures are done through city finance at City Hall. So I still have access to the same numbers that I do now with the current software that we're using versus the new one. I'll still have all the same information, same data available to me.
So we could really be a little more current than a month and a half behind. It wouldn't be finalized, and it wouldn't be certified by the accounting staff, but at least we could have a pretty good idea of where we were by the end of each month, around the first 5 or 6 days into the month.
For revenue,
Yeah,
revenue, I can have last month's revenue the first day of the next month.
Good.
It's a couple clicks of a button, and then the report populates.
Excellent.
And I do have that capability now as well.
I mean, even though we don't have expenditures, it would be nice to track our revenues as current as possible, along with the play. I'd like to know that. I mean, revenues, the expenditures are going to stay relatively the same as they were last year. There's going to be some ups, I'm sure, here and there, and when you get equipment, things like that. But revenues, tracking revenues against this year, against last year, are really an important detail as far as I'm concerned in how well we're doing.
Correct.
Any questions from members of the committee? Chris? Chris, thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Do you have any questions for us?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right, moving along. On our agenda are action items. We need to approve the minutes for February 2nd, 2021. Each of you have a copy of those minutes. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll motion to approve the minutes from February 2021.
Thank you, Darcy. Do we have a second?
I'll second. I don't know if I can because I wrote them, but I'll
Sure you
second.
can. We definitely, hey, you wrote them. You're better at approving them than any of us. Okay. We have a motion in a second. Minutes from February 2nd, 2021. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Andy. Okay. All right. The next agenda item is the election of officers for the coming year. I don't know. I'm certainly willing to go forward with that with 4 of us available, but I would suggest that we wait until we have a full agenda or we have a full membership at our meeting, but I will go along with whatever the committee is looking to do. Suggestions? Comments?
I mean, I'll volunteer to do the minutes and
I was going to just make a whole motion on this. I motion to keep everybody, like Chip as president or chair, Jackie as doing minutes, and I think the vice president, he's not here tonight, so we can't ask him what he wants to do, but maybe go into the next meeting and then pick once we have everybody in the meeting and see where people want to be. Correct? Is that all I have to say?
Is that a motion?
That's a motion.
Motion's been made. Do we have a second?
I'll
No
second.
Easy.
I'll second.
Easy.
All right. Motion's been made and second. We maintain the officers that we've had this year, with the exception that Jackie will be taking the notes for the meetings. All those in favor say aye.
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 Gina, I'm breaking the meetings for you.
I have a question. Is there a standard by which if people don't, if members of the committee don't attend meetings after X amount of times that something needs to happen?
Yes.
1, 2, 3,
Thank
and they're
you.
off.
Got it. Thanks.
You miss 3 meetings, you're going to have to be off the committee. And we're going to hold to that because we need everyone we've got on the committee if we're going to make good decisions.
And can I put something in that we need to, when we are drawing on new people, when people leave or whatever, we need to find the old applications from November and choose on those people who did actually want to be on this committee. So that's going to be one of the things too, that if we do lose people, we need to pull back to the November of last year applications to pick people, I think.
Okay. I may ask you for some clarification of that later, but I
Okay.
think I understood what you were saying.
Well, the clarification is that several people put in for golf, this committee.
Okay, yes.
And I was picked as the non-golfer, and then some other golfers were picked. And then when we just picked this last round, I don't know if these people were people that had left but then wanted to come back, but their application didn't make it into the packet for the city council. So I just want to make sure the next go round, if we miss anybody, we have an actual application from them that goes to city council. That's all I was asking for.
Okay, understand. Agree. All right, next on our agenda. Thank you very much for Darcy for not letting me off that. I was hoping I'd get out of that this year. Review signage recommendations developed by subcommittee and approved for submission to council. Each of you have a copy of the recommendations that Darcy and I wrote around with, made recommendations for, and I would open discussion on that issue. Do we have any discussions on the signage recommendations?
I would just like to compliment both of you for the recommendations. It's very thorough. You must have put in a lot of work to do this, and I would just like to thank you very much for your time and the work that you put into it.
Thank you.
I got to ride around in a golf cart all day on a nice day, drive me around, and then after I left, I came back and had lunch, so I was pretty happy that day. I got to ride around the golf course and didn't have to walk. So it's all Chip. He really did great.
All right.
I will. Andy.
Granted, I'm extremely new at this, so are these recommendations that you're sending to the city council and want to move forward with?
That's correct.
Because I was a little surprised that putting a billboard up on either 183 or 1431 for $1,600 a month seems like a huge expense.
Well, it's not cheap, but it probably would pay for itself within the year. Now, at $1,600 a month, that's, believe me, I've done a lot of billboards in my career. $1,600 a month, $1,300 to $1,600 a month is cheap.
No, I understand that. I'm just, I just don't remember seeing a lot of billboards for golf courses over the years.
Actually,
Go ahead, Darcy.
Actually, there's a whole bunch of golf courses billboards. If you go anywhere on the golf course or the Gulf Coast or anywhere on the East Coast or anywhere on the West Coast, there are billboards telling you, like as you go up in California, there's some beautiful golf courses down by Carmel, but you wouldn't even know they're there unless there was a billboard 50 miles beforehand that said golf course, because you can go pull into the golf course and do everything you want to by renting the equipment. And now you're playing in Carmel. I mean, that's a pretty elite course to go in at. I think it's probably about 250 to 300 around there, but you're playing in Carmel, so those do, and I'm actually in advertising and a billboard that you can get for anywhere under $8,000 a year on a freeway after exit is phenomenal.
Okay. I just, like I said, in my time in Texas, I don't think I've ever seen one before. And coming from the Northeast, I don't remember ever seeing any up there.
Most of the time, Andy, most of the time that you will see here billboards which are for communities. Billboards advertising Avery Ranch or one of the other new communities going in and golf courses. That's where you'll get the advertising tagged on with the community billboard. Advertising for golf courses alone, I've had pretty good success on the East Coast. I've also done quite a bit in Arizona. Didn't do any in Montana, but golf courses are advertised for informational and directional purposes, i.e., if you're on a major freeway or on a major road, you may not know, as most people don't traveling 183, that there's a heck of a golf course out here in Lago Vista. If you have that type of informational and directional signage, you'll get golfers who will have not even known that the golf course was available. But what we're doing here is suggesting that we believe that it's probably a good idea to grab some type of large billboard informational directional signage, either on 183 or 1431 at 183. That's a suggestion from the committee. Chris?
Hey, Chip, hey, just to let everybody on the committee know, so we did reach out to a company called Lamar, and they do have a billboard location at 183 and 1431. The roughly weekly impressions are 226,964, and their price was 4,500 per month for 52 weeks.
I can believe that.
I'm sorry.
No, I can believe that. 4,500 a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, Mr. Chairman, may I ask a question?
So where did the 1,200 come from?
Oh, I'll go ahead.
Thank you for recognizing me, Mr. Chairman. On the billboards, what is the contract term on those?
I'm sorry, say again?
What is the contract term for renting a billboard? If does anybody know? Is the minimum 3 months? Is it a month to month?
Go ahead, Chris.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. So the two options that we were given from Lamar was 24 weeks or 28 weeks. Those were the two, or I'm sorry, it was 24 or 52. I apologize. 24 or 52 weeks were what we were quoted from the person that owns that billboard at 183 and 1431.
Right. That is a prime location. We don't necessarily have to be right at the intersection. It could be somewhere up or down 183, or it could be on 1431 west of 183. That's what we were looking at and thinking about. But you can, Paul, to answer that question, billboards can be negotiated from various companies. I don't know all of the companies. Lamar is a large one here in Texas area, but you can negotiate time and amount anywhere from a month, 24 months, depending upon where the location is and how much they can command for it.
Well, thank you very much, Chair and committee, for answering my question. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Ms. Williams. Ms. Williams.
This is kind of like a double-edged sword in that advertising is wonderful, and obviously if it draws more clients, the course makes more money. Probably to Andy's point, I'm looking at just with the figure that was given before with the $1,600 a month, and Chris's figure was higher. That's like $20,000 a year. And I guess in terms of priorities, I'm wondering if that $20,000 a year right now isn't better spent getting the course in better shape or taking care of some other things and not putting the cart before the horse. And when you have a product to sell that's in a good enough condition, then you spend that money on advertising. Right now, particularly with the way things are, it may not be the best financial decision.
Fortunately for this committee, that's not a decision we have to make. Our decision is, this is what we would recommend to further the golf course, further the marketing for the golf course, increase the safety of players, etc. It's going to be up to Chris and the council to make the decisions on these. These are just recommendations. Now, they're solid recommendations, and we feel like that they're good, but I understand your point. Go ahead, Darcy.
Are we still back on the signs that we wanted to make up? Because how did advertising get into the signs that we want to make up for safety on the golf course? We just stepped into at Chris's 4,800 from hold on, from the company that he talked to, because he actually said 1,200 and then 4,800. And billboards do, like I said, if you got something for 1,200 a month, that would be like the golden ticket. But when you said 4,800, that's, when I opened my eyes, because I actually did refer you to someone, but I won't go there right now. But that didn't get followed through with. You're now looking at $57,000 a year for one billboard, okay? But how did that get into our signs that we need on the golf course to stop people from going over the cliff? How did advertising get into this agenda item that we're talking about signs for the golf course? That's advertising. The billboard, that's advertising to me. So I think we either strike that out, completely out, and come back to that at another agenda item about the advertising, or we move forward with what's going on right now with the signage, there's a difference, for the golf course. And I'm hoping that I can see, if I have to make a motion for this, I will, but I'm hoping that we all see this as two separate things. Advertising does not fit into it's a little bit, because we want signs directing you to go to the park, to the golf course, but those are city signs, and so we need you to say stop, we need you to look, and all those signs that are could possibly get us sued, that someone gets hurt, those need to be addressed. So that's my thing. I think we should move to, or someone needs to say, if you understand what I'm saying, someone needs to make a motion that we separate these two items and we come back to the advertisement thing next month.
Darcy, I think I hear what you're saying, and I think I probably can give you some satisfaction here. These are recommendations. Some of these, which I have not marked, and I think we agreed to, were issues that are must-be signage. We really should take action as far as the safety of the golfers are concerned on some of these. I did not separate those out on that list that we've made. And there are, overall, these are all of the recommendations that we came up with. Most of the first group of signage, called directional, those are not absolutely necessary, although they sure would be nice to get people from Loman's Ford and 1431 back to the golf course. But there are signage in here on our hole by hole that are absolutely must-haves. And I did not separate them out into recommendations and must-haves, or must-have recommended, or recommended
If
must-have. And I
since
thought,
we now have the list, Jeff, since we now have the list, if you want me to do that within the next couple of days, I could send that back out to the committee because I remember which ones work, unless you
okay,
want to do it.
if you want to separate those into if you want to separate those into must-haves and recommended, take a shot at that, please. Because that's why we're discussing this tonight, so that we can figure out what in here we must have. And there are some of these things in here that primarily on our whole by whole recommendations, a lot of those are must-haves.
Then when would we be required to get these to, like, Dick, to present to the council? I mean, do we have a timeline here?
As soon as possible. Dick, I'd like to get these to you as quickly as possible. But if we've got more work to do on it, I'd like to get it done, and maybe we can call a special meeting just for signage.
Dick, don't you have to get it approved for the agenda? Dick, your mic's off.
Yeah.
I think Dick has to get it approved for the agenda too, once we write it in.
Yeah, he does. Dick, you're muted. Mr. Weatherly, you're muted.
There he goes. I'm sorry,
There
I
you
was
are.
talking with one of the other councilmen about the very things we're talking about.
Okay.
Are you guys meeting at City Hall, or is this?
I'm going to mute again.
Hello, David. Note, Jackie, please note that David Frazia has joined our meeting.
I am. I've got it.
Thank you. David, we're on signs right at the moment. We're trying to decide how we're going to address this from recommended signage to absolutely necessary signage.
Yeah,
And
a little bit on that.
So Dick, when do you have to have this to get on the agenda? What is the date that you would have to have it?
As soon as you make a recommendation, I will take it to the next council meeting, whenever that is. Whenever your recommendation is solidified, we have what you want done and what the cost is, then I will take it to the next meeting.
Okay.
So it's simply a matter of when it's put together. All right?
Okay.
It
Got it.
also has to be to them before 72 hours of the agenda list that gets put online. So it's 72 hours, like first 6 weeks to get it on the agenda, and then it's 72 hours to have all our whatever we want. Right, Dick? Am I paying attention?
Can I make a suggestion, please? I would ask that after reviewing this, I would ask the committee to approve this list of recommended signage for the Lago Vista Golf Course with the caveat that you trust Darcy and I to go over this and create two categories of signage. One are must-have signages as soon as possible, and the other ones are simply recommended signages for direction and information. That way we can get it done in the next couple of days and get it to the council.
Can I make a comment about the request there? Unless I missed it, we need
Sure.
to update the signage from number 9 to number 10.
Yep.
directional sign so that it shows how to get to number 10?
Correct. That's on here.
Is it? Okay, good.
Yes, sir. Now, the only thing is,
That's the one that goes down in front of the building right there, where you have to actually get back out on the street. Yeah, we did that
Okay,
one.
thanks.
the only other thing that's not on here, as far as I was concerned, and Jackie caught this, was I forgot to mention the fact that we needed caution signs on number 15 on the cart path next to the tee box. And that's one of my big issues, but I completely left it off. But that would be something that would go on, would be caution signs on 15 cart path at the tee boxes for the steep slope. Do we have any suggestions from the committee if we can go forward with this, or do you want us to take this to another meeting?
I think that you've really done a pretty good job on coming out with identifying what's needed. And if you will separate, you and Darcy will separate these out into the two categories, I would like to see this go to Dick and take to council as soon as possible.
I can do that Friday, Chip. I can't do it tomorrow. I'm pretty busy, but Friday I could possibly do it.
That's fine. I mean, we do it Friday, Monday, but by getting it out of committee, we can get it to council as soon as possible.
Do you need a motion on that?
I do, yes.
So moved.
I second it.
Move's been made by David, seconded by Jackie, that we move the signage recommendations forward as they're written, with the exception of a couple of changes on number 15, and that Darcy and I get together in the next 3, 4, 5 days and separate them into the categories that we've discussed tonight. All in favor, say aye.
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 Nay.
Did you get those, Jackie?
Yes.
And Andy was a nay. All right, motion passes. We'll go forward with that. Darcy, we'll get in touch with each other tomorrow morning. You call me since you're busy most of the time. All right, next item on the agenda. Review concerns voiced at the last meeting on cart path dangers on holes 7, 8, 9, and 15, and ask if there are any efforts to mitigate those concerns. Chris, I would throw that to you.
Yeah, at this point, it's really I know I mentioned the speed bumps, in our last meeting, Chip, and you were against that idea. But so at this point, in terms of a cost-effective solution, that the speed bumps that I mentioned are kind of where we're at. I know you talked about you didn't like that idea. So without ripping up the cart paths and regrading it, at this point, we don't really have any other alternatives.
So what I hear you saying is you're waiting on us to get some signage recommendations out.
I would say the signage and the speed bumps are probably the two most cost-effective solutions to that issue.
Okay. Comments from the committee, please. If not, we'll go on to item number 8.
I do
Yes.
have one comment.
Yes.
I mean, we had asked about several different things, possibly even other than speed bumps, you had time to check into any of the other issues or other suggestions that we made on those safety issues? I mean, we talked about anything from putting down like even the hay bales and going with, dirt up to them to, there was, I mean, have you had time to look at any of the other suggestions other than speed bumps?
Those were for the next item of discussion. That was for the fairways of 15 and 16.
Okay, sorry about that.
No problem. The only other suggestions that we had, that Chris already mentioned was redirecting the cart paths to be more of a switchback versus a straight downhill.
I don't think I know that as far as this committee is concerned, we're taking it seriously. And Chris, I know you're taking it seriously, but we've been on this issue of cart paths and the dangers involved on several holes for months and months, hell, a year or more. And we're still talking about it. I think we need to, as a committee, voice our concern one more time to the council in writing. And I'll be glad to write that memo. If this committee will give me the go ahead to do so, voicing our concerns about safety on these and that they need to be taken up immediately. I don't know anything else that we can do. We are an advisory committee only. We have no way to create action. And the only way we can create action is through the council. And I think that comes from a memo from the committee voicing our concerns.
And Chip, I guarantee you, if I get that memo from you, council, they will hear it.
Very good. I don't know if we need a motion since we've been on this so many times, but I would like the consensus of the members of the committee to go forward and write that memo.
Darcy has a comment.
Darcy?
Hi, before we motion on this or try to second anything, I want to put something to Chris. He's asking for a lot of equipment right now through the council. A little thing to write on, a bucket, whatever. And there's a figure there, okay, because Chris has asked for it. It's on this council meeting, I believe, this week, Thursday. If we can convince the council, if you could tell them, like, if you get this equipment, you're willing to take care of these dangerous situations with all the equipment that you have in that garage. You have workers, you have equipment, you could fix these dangerous situations on 15, I think 16 and 17 with these weird downhills, and make the recommendation that if you get the equipment, your guys can be working on this as one of their jobs next year, which does two things: gets the dangerous situations done and gets you the equipment that you're going to need that's not PWD equipment that you're going to keep in your little barn up there on the property, and lets the city council know that you want to do with this equipment. So for me, always, if someone wanted to buy anything ever around me in my whole entire life, I want to know, what's the reason I'm giving up my money to better you, but you're not telling me what you're doing with it. So you could tell city council, now this is on you, Chris, I'm going to say this is on you, that you're willing to take care of these dangerous situations that the golf course committee is finding with the new equipment that you get, make sure that these switchbacks that are like this get fixed so nobody kills himself and gets sued. Because that, what I saw the other day from ever being out on a golf course, as little as I have, but a lot of places, those downhills and those switchbacks and those turns around, if someone's sitting in their golf cart and that thing barely tips, you're in some serious legal problems. And so the way I see it is, if you put it to the council, like, look, I want this bucket. Look, you ask for a thing for your tractor, and you ask for a little quad runner or something, and a couple other things. I don't have it in front of me right now, but if you put it to council, Chris, and sold this, that you're going to fix dangerous situations, but you're going to need this stuff plus a little bit more money, we're going to get these things fixed quickly.
Jackie?
I have something to say in Chris's defense. Really and truthfully, you really need an engineer to look at these. I know at Highlands, they tried to fix one of these and it ended up being worse and they had to call somebody else in. But sometimes you just have to have an engineer kind of look at this. Maybe the guys can do the work, but you need a professional person to advise you as to what to do or how to solve the problem.
I believe we did just hire one of those, Dick Weatherly, correct? Didn't we just hire another engineer besides Eric?
We have another engineer. The only thing that I would say, having looked into all this, the equipment that Chris is talking about getting is equipment that he needs for the day-to-day operations of the golf course. It is not the heavy equipment that would be necessary to do what you're talking about doing and changing some of these cart paths. The only way that these are going to get changed is to make it a major project, to fund it, to have it engineered so that it is done properly. Because just as Jackie said, there has been an effort on another golf course to correct a problem where it was not properly engineered, not properly looked at, and ended up causing more problems than good. So what Chris is looking at right now is not machinery that's going to allow him to do what we're talking about.
Yeah, I understand that, but I'm also letting everybody know it's how we sell. Like, something like Chris needs the stuff he needs to get the golf course through, but we also need all these other things taken care of. So in the same loop, when city council calls on you, you could say, these are just the things I need to do on this, but we have dangerous situations that I need you to bring me in city equipment and the city engineer. So you drag it all with you so they know something else is coming. Because I saw it on that golf course. That stuff was so kind of dangerous that I don't think I would allow my child in the cart with me to go on that ride.
Well, I think with all this discussion that we give Chip the direction to have this on the record and send it to the city council, that that we definitely have concerns about 7, 8, 9, and 15.
I think that's the way we can move it forward. Go ahead, Andy.
I've been at the course for about a year, and we're spending a lot of time tonight discussing these dangerous conditions on the course. I don't see it. And I was wondering if Chris can tell me, have there ever been any accidents at these locations? Because I play golf 4, 5, 6 times a week. I'm going down these holes, every day. Never had a problem in any of them. Never seen anybody have a problem in any of them.
Andy?
Darcy says they're a dangerous situation, but she's not a golfer. She's not used to riding in a golf cart, probably.
Well,
Andy, I
I'll throw
can
my
tell
2
you
cents in there.
that there have been some really serious accidents, particularly on number 8. Ended one of our perennial golfers' career as a golfer. Cart flipped over at the bottom, threw him out, broke his shoulder. And there have been incidents on other holes on the golf course. It's particularly bad when it's been wet and when it's been watered. But yes, there have been accidents, there have been problems on a number of different situations.
And Andy,
I've had
I witnessed at least 2 accidents that happened on number 9, one on 15, one on number 9, about 4 years ago when I was working in the golf shop. Both times, these were strangers from out of town who really didn't know the golf course, got going too fast downhill, flipped a cart. Fortunately, nobody was injured seriously, but it does happen. Chris,
I had a
go
car
ahead.
I had a cart tip over on me on 8, and then I've seen several carts go up on 2 wheels coming down off of 7.
Yes.
And tipping over. So they're both very dangerous. If you're not on the course, or if you're not, especially out of towners that come.
But don't people have to take some personal responsibility? It's not that difficult to drive a golf cart and to do it safely. You see,
That's
you're
true,
going
but
down
anybody
slow.
can
You
do.
don't go down at full speed.
Jackie?
On number 9, in the summer, when you have a lot of people coming here to play, especially in the summer,
Mhm.
I mean, I see like one at least a weekend, it seems like. And some of them have their kids in the cart, and it's scary. They flip them over. It's scary.
In those situations, were they driving the cart or were the kids driving the cart?
Yeah, they were driving it.
Because I've seen
Either way,
a situation on the golf cart where somebody will bring their kid out with them, and they'll let a 7, 8, 9-year-old drive the cart for them.
No, these were adults driving.
Parents don't.
unfortunately, the city has deep pockets, or at least everybody believes they do. Any accident out there from outside we stand a very good chance of having some type of legal action taken against us, whether we win, lose, or draw. Chris? Chris, go ahead.
Thank you. So I will say that in my experience, the last 4.5 years, I've never experienced any issues on 7 or 15. We did have an incident on number 8, and we have had 2 or 3 instances on number 9. And to be fair, though, yeah, they're dangerous. I do agree that the slopes on those are a little steep, and I think my position is if we can remedy the problem with a couple $1,000s worth of asphalt, and that fixes the problem, I would say, to me, when you start talking concrete and regrading and switchbacking, I mean, I'm not an expert, but now you're looking at tens and tens of thousands of dollars as opposed to a couple thousand. If you know that's my 2 cents. Again, I'm saying yes, I agree. There's a problem, but I do believe that a couple $1,000s worth of asphalt fixes that problem rather than 40, 50, 60, 70, 80,000 in concrete work.
What I'd like to do, though, since we really truly can't do anything about it, the council can. I would like to move along and put a memo to the council with our concerns on it. That's the only way we're going to get any action. as far as this committee is concerned. It has to go to council. We have to recommend it. And like I said, that would be my suggestion going forward with it.
Can I make a motion? Is someone talking?
Yes.
Okay, can I make a motion that we request council an engineer comes and takes a look at the golf course and the dangerous, and you can number which ones they are. I have that list in front of me, and gives us some type of solution or price or what we're looking at to fix these dangerous situations. That's my motion.
Just to comment, we don't have the power or the money to hire anyone to take a look at anything.
We already have the guy. We already have an engineer. We are requesting that the new city engineer who we're paying comes and looks at the golf course and looks at these dangerous downslopes from holes and tells us what we need to do to fix the problem before we are sued. That's my motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
David, second. All those in favor? Well, before that, is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor? Say aye. Wait.
You have to ask the audience first what they think.
No. You
don't?
I don't have. No, we do not have to ask the audience. All we have to do is ask committee members.
Okay, then.
Committee.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. The Texas Open Meetings Act actually does require you to take public comments on any item on the agenda, even if they haven't signed up for it. And that actually should, anyway, just wanted to point that out.
The period for comments, period for public comments is over. We're strictly into action items at this moment.
Yes, sir, which is why you have to reopen the public comments, and you can't move forward until you take those public comments. Otherwise, if you pass the motion without having taken public comments, then you could have an issue. Respectfully speaking, sir.
Yeah. Robert is right.
Okay.
But I don't have, there are no comments from me as a member of the public, and I thank you for your time.
Certainly. Thank you, Paul. Very well. Then, do we have any public comment on the issue, on the motion? There being no public comment, I would move the motion forward for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say no. Motion carries. I will direct a memo to council with said request. Thank you. Next action item. We wanted to review fairway conditions, specifically on 15 and 16, and what we were doing to take care of those. 15 primarily, 15 and 16 have been playing terrible with the slopes and the side slopes. I noticed that there have been some mitigation efforts at the bottom of 15 to build wall, but it seems to have washed out. Chris, what's going on with that? What can we do? Got any suggestions?
So I will say that, we are working on 15, trying to come up with solutions. Again, we're experimenting. the thing about 15, it is probably the worst designed golf ball I've ever seen in my entire life. Yeah, I mean, whoever decided that was a good idea should not be a golf course architect. Yeah, I mean, but at the end of the day, we can only play the cards that were dealt. So, again, you see the little center block berm there on the right side of 15. Again, we saw some positives from that. And again on 16, again it's just a severe slope that why anybody ever thought that was a good idea to put that steep of a slope boggles my mind. But I will say that the conditions of those holes are improving as you get grass growing. I would say that those two holes are not playing nearly as fast as they were, month and a half ago. I will say I think I've been on the record numerous times, and I will say it again. The replacing of the irrigation system fixes all those problems.
Okay.
That is the big push for this year, is to hopefully have council approve the replacement of the irrigation system in the bond package that council is looking at to do wastewater upgrades. That completely changes the dynamic of the golf course. Hands down, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Anybody that knows how to grow grass, you need water.
Do you need
And
a recommendation? Do you need a recommendation from this committee with regards to that to council?
I believe council knows my position on that very well. I've expressed it to all 7 of them and the city manager. And I think that, if I'm not mistaken, I've spoken, I believe that they are looking at putting it in the bond package.
Mr. Chairman,
This year's
Yes,
committee
sir.
or last year's committee, excuse me? Does
I'm
this,
sorry, Darcy?
does this year's committee know that? Because I was just watching an airport advisory meeting, and something was sent in November, but that's when the change was coming from the city council. So they never got the email. So I'm just wondering, Chris, if these recommendations, or what you're saying just now to us, has been put about the irrigation, has put to the new city council and the new city manager, because as far as I'm concerned, what last year was with the changing of the guards, the new people might not know. And I know it was like a $2.1 million upgrade to the golf course, that if that gets put into, the irrigation gets put into the public works department, I think they need to know like so much ahead of time, correct? So it gets in the CIP, and I think Dick knows this. It's in the CIP for the next year, correct?
So the irrigation system is in the CIP for the upcoming budget cycle, and for FY 21-22. Yes, it is in the CIP for that fiscal year, and I have spoken to all current city and council members regarding the issue, as well as city manager Chan.
Mr. Weatherly.
yes, the irrigation system has been a point of discussion for the last 3 years. All of it looking toward this next fiscal year. It is now its turn to be put onto the CIP. It is part of the city comprehensive plan, and we will be moving forward to that. Nothing needs to come from this council to the city council for this item.
Very good. Okay.
And to touch on a couple other points there, Chip, regarding the conditions of the fairways, The winter storm did really did an I shouldn't say did a number, but it has
It did.
drastically impacted um, the the speed at which the golf course is going to recover, if that makes sense. It's not going to hinder the long term, but the short term of where you would normally start seeing growth in, say, April, May, you're now going to see May, June, something like that.
Chris,
Just,
I can agree with you there. I think that the impact of that winter storm was
yeah,
shows all around the community on all the landscaping, lawns, etc.
absolutely.
And I agree with you there.
Yeah, it was a devastating event for the entire state, and we were not immune to those
Nope.
impacts.
Nope.
Another thing that we're implementing, it is very, very strict enforcement of our cart policies regarding 9 degree rule, cart path only, things like that. There was right after the golf course opened, after the storm hit, we were cart path only for the 2 days after the first 2 days after it opened, and I have, I want to say approximately 5 or 6 photographs of golf carts driving all over the fairways on 15 when it was supposed to be cart path only. And the other day, I guess it was yesterday, it was, or not yesterday, I'm sorry, Monday, when it was cart path only, I had pictures of personal golf carts on the top of number 9. So it's one of those, as the GM, I get the blame, and I understand that, and I respect that about my position. But it's also a two-way street of where we need help from our players and golfers to respect those rules that I put in place to protect the golf course. If for for golfers to not respect the rules that I put in place that day, if they don't like it, they do what they want. I did it for a reason, and because people don't like it, they just do what they want. That's a hindrance as well. Um, and I know
Understood.
I do want to apologize. I know I did say that we did see personal golf carts on the top of number 9. I'm in no way taking, I don't want to feel like I'm singling anybody out, because there are city golf carts up there too from out of towners. It's not just
Chris, we all
it's
need. I think we
everybody.
all need to. We, as a player, I think we all need to be more cognizant of the rules.
Right.
I'm guilty of that. I think a lot of people are, and we just need to have
Yeah.
more respect for the
Yeah.
course.
And as bad as it sounds, it's something that we're going to begin very strictly enforcing. And should any golfer playing our facility not abide by my rules and regulations that I set forth for that day, they will not be playing golf there. We will ask them to leave, because it has become it is a major, shouldn't say major, it is certainly not helping the situation.
Andy?
It's a nice thing to try to do, but it's almost impossible to enforce. I've spent 5 or 6 years marshaling at various courses in this area and over in Montgomery. And once the marshal drives away, the golfers do whatever they want to do. It's almost
And
impossible to enforce.
And so the policy that I have implemented and have informed my marshals of is, Andy, I'm going to pick on you because you made that comment. I'm going to use you as my example here. If Andy, if I say, hey guys, cart path only today, and Andy's driving on the fairway, Mr. Pacelli, just so you know, it is cart path only today. If we catch you off the cart path again, we will ask you to leave. If Andy decides he's going to drive on the cart path again, and we see you on the cart path again, you will be escorted off the golf course.
You're going to be putting your marshals in a very difficult position.
To an extent, but all of the marshals are actually excited about enforcing this policy. So again, it's one of those things of, we're not trying to be mean. We're not trying to be, stiflers or anything. It's just one of those, we're simply trying to protect the product that we have.
And I agree, it does need to be protected. I'm just saying, you're putting the marshals in a very difficult position, and it's a very difficult policy to enforce.
And we're going to do everything in our power we can to enforce that policy to the 100% best of our ability. We do understand that when the marshal drives away, people are probably going to do what they want. And we understand that. We understand that it's going to be difficult, but we also want everybody that plays our facility to understand that, hey, it's this way for a reason, and we need everybody to respect that. And for actions to not have consequences is a moot point. So there will be consequences moving forward, and we're going to do everything on our power we can to enforce that policy to the best of our ability.
Are you going to try to enforce it course-wide or possibly on a rotating basis on, like 3 or 4 holes at a time, spread around the course?
No, it'll simply be the marshals on duty.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Chris, I wish you did. Andy, did you have something else?
Nope, that was it.
Okay. Chris, thank you. Good luck with that.
I think Darcy has a question, Chip.
Yeah, I actually wanted to agree with you, Chris. I think you have 100% of my backing on that. I think, I don't want to say willy-nilly because that sounds kind of weird, but I totally believe that if you put the marshals in place of like, look, we don't want these things done today, and they say it, there's usually what, 2 or 3 marshals on at all times, or is there just one?
It depends on the day and on the circumstances, but typically speaking, Monday through Friday, we have one in the morning, one in the afternoon, or possibly 2 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon. And then on Saturdays and Sundays, we'll have 2 in the morning and 2 in the afternoon.
And they have walkie-talkies or cell phones, so like any of the golf course guys that work on the course could be right there if someone started getting unruly or didn't want to listen to them.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say within 5 minutes of them saying, look, we've given you one time, this is your second time, and even maybe if on the second time that they're warning somebody, they already let someone in the golf course know, hey, we're the marshals, hey, we're having to blah, blah, blah for the second time, we're going to ask them to leave, and people are on a little higher alert, you're going to learn that we don't want you, running across the new grass or all the other things that you want. So I think you have a valid point, and I think you are 100% right that you should be able to tell them on the second time you have to leave. So I completely support you, Chris.
Yeah, thank you. And, you know, in the, where was I going with that? It's yeah, the marshals are in are in that position for a reason, and you know they have every right to make that decision. And the walkie talkies we do have walkie talkies for all staff in order to communicate directly with the pro shop should a situation like that arise. Our ultimate hope and our ultimate desire is that we don't need to invoke that policy at all. That is the desire. We want people playing. We want customers coming back, and you know we don't want to have to do that. But
Right.
the lines of communication are there with the pro shop, with marshals. Um, should a situation arise where that needs to be handled.
Right. You
Well,
get
Chris,
that one person or one group in 50 that need,
Right.
hey, second time we're going to tell you to
It's going
leave,
to
and
be
we want
more
you
often.
to
It's
leave.
going to be
So,
more often than that. I said, I've spent
all
five or
right,
6 years marshaling. It's going to happen a lot. And
more than likely.
I played today. We were told that the front nine was card path only. On the first tee, two guys drove up the left-hand side of the fairway. They could care less. And they said it. I'm not going to do it.
Are we ready to go on to the next item? I think
I believe
this
Gina,
went up to death.
I believe we have one comment from the public here. Gina?
Well, and I may be out of order here. I was just going to suggest that while this is important an important topic to the golf course, I guess I was just wondering about a point of order in terms of where this conversation was going and what the scope and recommendations of this committee are supposed to be, and was just trying to move things along.
Specifically, it got off track a little bit, but I think we're back on track. Let's go on to our item number 9 on the agenda. And this is just a question. I know, Chris, you had a problem last year, this last summer, when things were closed down a bit. We had a lot of play, and we came up with shorter courts occasionally. Do you have a plan in action this year to make sure that we've got enough carts available for spring and summer?
I do have a plan. That plan
All
is
right.
to get 15 additional golf carts. Those 15 additional golf carts have been approved by they were approved by City Manager Ray. City Manager Chan has signed off on those, and those 15 additional carts have been ordered, and we are expecting them in May-ish.
Excellent. Excellent. All right, on to that closes out our action items. Anybody have any comments on that last item as far as carts are concerned? I think that's great that Chris has done that, because last year we worked out scrambling for golf carts. Without comment, then we'll move on to discussion items. I put this on the agenda just simply to open up to the committee what their concerns were, if you have any issues, have any attaboys or whatever. And I think I'll keep this on each one of the agendas from now on, and it's just a kind of a open up and talk session. Does anybody have any concerns, comments, issues that we haven't addressed tonight? And are there concerns going forward that we might want to put on the agenda? Andy, you
Darcy has her hand up.
yeah,
go
actually.
ahead.
But anyway, I just wanted to comment that I think we should keep going forward. Oh my gosh, I completely lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry. Hold on.
That's what happens when you just,
Oh,
you know.
that
Yeah.
our meetings that if we're only going to do this every other month, we need to pick an exact time and date at each meeting. So like right now, and we need to check back with our minutes that we're not skipping things. Like I find a lot of committees, they have an agenda, but they never check back with the stuff that they agreed to 4 agendas ago. And so nobody like knows if those plans came into effect. Like I'm on the bathroom or the bathroom committee, the Parks and Rec committee, and we're discussing bathrooms right now. So it's like I think like at the beginning of each meeting, we should look back on the minutes, and when we agree to the minutes, let's look down it and say, did we accomplish these things from the last minute? And if we're not doing that, are we just like having these meetings and pushing stuff to a year down the line, 2 years down the line? And so that's one of my things I would like to make sure that we do in this committee. And then I actually think we should vote again or come to a meeting next month again, and hopefully that we have everybody in the committee that we can vote and make officers, because that's supposed to be done in January.
I thought you just did that with your motion earlier.
I motioned that we kept everybody this way until we come back to a meeting, but I'm saying I want us to come back next month, not 2 months from now, and make that choice. Because otherwise we're looking at May. If we don't come back in April for a meeting, we're now looking at our officers in May.
Okay, I've got to raise a point of question here. Was that everyone's understanding of the motion that Darcy made earlier about officers? Jackie?
I thought that the motion was to have Chip as chair, me as secretary, and next meeting we would appoint a vice chair. I thought that was what the motion was.
No.
No.
The motion was that I said, and I'll repeat this. The motion was that we keep the people that we have from last year right now until we can get into, I believe it's a quorum. I didn't say that word. Of that we have enough people to vote for those offices, like Chip's been chair. And Jackie, you actually weren't secretary last year. You were doing something else. And David was vice chair last year. So I am putting the motion, and this is what I wanted my motion back then to be, was that we keep, because this meeting we don't have a quorum to get everybody's vote because Dave wasn't here earlier, that we kept it with you and Chip doing what you're doing because you're here at this meeting. And then the next time we come back, we do a full, like, we all know we want Chip in there as chair because he knows all this. But if Jackie, this would give you the point that if you want to back out of being a secretary, you get to back out. This gives Dave the point to make his point of why he wants to be the VP. And it also gives maybe Andy a chance that he might want to be VP, or our other, I think we have 2 more. I think there's 2 people missing still because Gina, you're gone, right? You're not actually part of this committee anymore.
I'm not part of this committee and will not be while David sits on council.
Okay, that's correct. Okay, so now.
I think we need to revisit with the entire group that were here. David, you weren't here when we made that motion and voted on it. I think there's probably some misunderstanding. That's the reason I'm circling back to review that, and we may need to make some corrections here from earlier with that motion. Andy, what was your thoughts on motion? Is that what you understood?
I understood it that you were going to remain as chair, Jackie was going to remain as secretary, and we're going to wait for a quorum to figure out who the vice chair was going to be.
Okay.
But wasn't secretary last time. Jackie's just filling in this time. I will rerun this tape a couple times, but I didn't know when Jackie just repeated that back that's what we thought was the second to. But I mean, to keep this moving forward, if Jackie wants to keep doing this, because I don't know if she agreed that she wants to for the next 2 years or next year become our secretary. Jackie, would you do that?
Well,
I did volunteer. I really did. Because we really didn't have anybody else to take over. So I volunteered.
Okay. Because usually they try to put that, and I've watched every single committee, they try to put that to a woman, and I took shorthand, and I won't do that ever again. So I always say I'm a hammer, not a typist or anything like that. So I now am saying then, if we're keeping Chip, because I do agree to that, and Jackie does say that she wants to remain secretary, so the only opening the officer we have is our VP is David. And can we maybe state all the people who aren't here tonight so we can see who might take David's place? That might happen.
I think the only two that we're missing is Chris Shive and Tom Both.
yes.
And Tom's a new person, correct?
No,
Thomas carried over.
Chris Shive is new.
What was so Chris is the one that just got voted in. Wasn't somebody like here a couple things back and got voted in, or am I wrong?
Tom Both was a carryover from last year. I don't believe his term was up. Chris Shive is the new, and you're new, and Andy is new this year.
And this is the second meeting Tom has missed, correct?
That's correct.
I think his last meeting, though, he was stuck in Mexico. Tom Both was. I think that he couldn't help it. But Chris Shive has missed 2 meetings.
Okay, thank you.
Do we, I'm going to put this out to the committee. Do we want to revisit that motion that Dorothy made earlier and make amendments to that? I open that up to the committee.
Okay, I'm a little confused here. So what?
Me too. All right.
I'm actually good with what Jackie said after we discussed it, that we're now just looking for a VP, but the only I don't know if we had a quorum to vote Chip in and Jackie as president and secretary. I don't think we ever took that vote. Say that we want to have you two as those 2 places. We did not take that vote. I just want to put that out.
I thought we had a motion and a second.
Not that you guys were in positions to go forward into the year. I think it was just the motion that we were going to bring this back and
Okay,
I would like to actually bring the whole thing back at the next meeting and before May, maybe in April, and do a 10-minute of that. Me and Chip have gotten do another meeting next week or next month, in the end of April, because we're at the end of March right now. Maybe do a meeting in the April, which shows, I don't know how to express this because this is the discussion part, but that me and Chip get get what is most important on the list of signage, and that we come back with a quorum to vote.
Let me make
for president.
Let me make a point, Darcy. We do have a quorum, and did have a quorum with that vote.
Now,
otherwise we could not have.
Before Dave came.
Yeah, we had a quorum before Dave came. The 4 out of 7.
Oh, so we did have 4 of us.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it was me, you, Jackie, and Andy, right, that voted?
Correct. That's correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Now, do we want to revisit that motion and make amendments to it? I see a no. Do I hear a no?
No, I don't want to bring it up again. Thank you.
Okay. All right. We're still out a vice chair, and we will put that on the agenda for our next meeting. All right. What do we? I'll open this up for consideration of the schedule and items for our next meeting. Anybody have any questions, comments, or suggestions for the agenda for our next meeting?
I have a suggestion that we review what the council's recommendations were, or agreements or disagreements with our recommendations are, and that we can discuss those at the next meeting. I think we have plenty on our plate of items that we just need to follow up with, as Darcy had mentioned.
That's just a review of our signage recommendations.
Yeah, the signage, the cart paths, and the fairways that we've had on the agenda today. That's going to the council, and then we get a report back as to what the council discussed or agreed on or didn't agree on, so we know where to go to from there.
Okay. Next meeting. Do we have? Well, let me ask you this, Andy. Anyone else, please? Do we have any more suggestions for the agenda next time?
I'd like to keep the conditions of 15 and 16 on to talk about again.
Done. 15, 16. Okay. And I agree with Darcy. We need to begin to somehow put accomplishments on some of these things that we're reviewing and asking for. I'll work with Jackie, and we'll try to maybe have a different category altogether for our next meeting going forward on items that we've approved and our action items and what the status of those have been. Go ahead, Marcy.
Darcy. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. Don't worry. I just wanted to know, do we have anyone working with the airport committee and trying to get those people that do the fly-ins now, because there is a car up there, that want to come golf? I mean, because this was something that was discussed last year, but it never quite got there. But now there is an actual car up at the airport, and so we could put together something that would bring those pilots with customers to our golf course. So I'm hoping that we could work with Dick Weatherly and Paul Prince and people on the golf course committee and do maybe a bigger meeting to where we discuss things that could work out for both of us to actually make some revenue, and to start thinking about, outside our little this area, because to me, in the next year, the uber rich who can travel by plane are going to be your good market. And it's like, we're not taking advantage of that. And so I think if we got with and because the golf course committee, Parks and Rec now has someone manning 20 hours, or rather, I don't want to go too far into this for you guys, but Parks and Rec has someone that's working 20 hours a week. And so if we could get that same person to do something that hands out a brochure, something to those pilots that they want to rest or come golf or come down to the restaurant or just check out our town, that it's there for them as a pamphlet, this might go really far. So I just wanted to put that maybe into something that we would talk about later.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to talk about that next month.
Okay, I'll put that on the agenda for us to talk about next month. And we can make a recommendation or whatever to council to have someone do that. Coordinate with Parks and Recs or whatever. You want to, Marcy, since you brought that up, why don't I put you on that? See if you can enlighten us a little more as to who's involved, so that we might be able to make a recommendation to council how they could work with the golf course to get something like that done.
Chris Mobley right now is up there. And then Paul Prince is the liaison for that committee. And then there's, I think, oh gosh, hold on, let me look real quick. Then there's a guy named Jim Peck that's on the committee. And
Don't we have an employee that just got hired for marketing?
yes, well, this isn't actually, the marketing guy is on, or the person is on Chris's side. So I don't know if Chris's marketing person could do this or personally somebody off this committee.
Aren't
Because
they doing marketing for the golf course?
Well, I don't think anyone from this committee
they should be.
has. I don't think anyone from this committee has the ability or authority to work directly with and direct city employees. But I do believe that a recommendation that we might be able to use our marketing people at the golf course certainly is within the purview of this committee.
Yes, so I would say that we should maybe get Chris Goodwin to bring the marketing director back maybe next meeting. Bring her back. I can't remember her name, but it's a female.
Again, I think, it's not us telling them or suggesting to them.
I would just.
We make suggestions to the council, and
right.
then takes it from there.
But Chris actually would need to be the person because this person works under Chris.
I understand, but it's council to the city manager to Chris.
Okay.
We do get reports. We do have reports from Chris. We do probably overstep our bounds a little bit by making suggestions directly to Chris. But in truth, David's right. Our path is directly to council, and we utilize Chris as an information gathering tool.
Okay. So then I think it would be that the next meeting we have, we talk to our liaison about getting this put onto the agenda, that we could maybe put a packet or some type of thing together for them, and also be able to do a grouping of both committees and talk about what we can do to help each committee, because the airport's actually making money right now, pretty good money. So if we could get with the airport committee somehow, that we could have one meeting together, and I think this could go through Dick, that it would just be the two liaisons and our committees, our two committees, in a scheduled meeting, but not a monthly meeting. Does that make sense? That makes
I understand. Yes, I understand what you're saying. Dick, go ahead.
That's what you would consider a work committee. Um, I know that there has been some discussion among the city staff about doing exactly what you're talking about. Um, I will talk with the city manager and I'll talk with Mr. Prince. And if you will put it on the agenda for the next meeting, I will bring you back a report on where that is. And if a joint committee is really something that we need, the making of a brochure that could be passed out to the pilots that come in, I know is something that has either been done or was being worked on. Some kind of encouragement to play golf. That would probably be something that Chris would have to come up with, because I think what that would entail is maybe special pricing or a price of golf and equipment and cart that would be a attractive offer. But I will get with some people and get some information and bring that back at the next meeting.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much, Dick. All right. Do we have any further comments or discussion from the committee? Any additional comments from the public? If not, I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn.
I guess I have one additional question. How's that?
Go ahead, Andy.
Seeing how this is my first virtual meeting, I don't like them. When are we going back to live meetings?
Amen.
You know?
Go ahead, Dick.
In answer to Andy's question, we are currently under the county, and until the county gives us the all clear, which right now they are not willing to do, we will have to continue to have virtual meetings. We are all, I guarantee you, all hoping that this is going to be over with very, very soon. Because you think it's a bad deal doing it tonight. I've been doing this now for a year, for 5 and 6 meetings a week. It is a bummer.
Yeah.
But as soon as the judge, as soon as Andy Brown is willing to lift the county restriction on government buildings so that we can meet collectively, we will go back to face-to-face meetings. But as of right now, we are still under an order from the county judge to do all this stuff remotely.
Thank you.
Everybody go get your shot. The quicker everybody gets their shot, the quicker we can get this over with.
Hey, I'm fully vaccinated.
One
I
more
just
thing.
qualified. I just qualified and there's no shot for me. I'm so upset right now. I'm like, I don't care what it is. Give me something. Give me something.
I've had two shots, and I'm seriously thinking about having another one tonight.
Yeah.
I already had one beer. It's St. Patrick's Day. Nobody even said Happy St. Patrick's Day.
All right, we're getting offbeat here. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
David, Marcy. I got to get that straight one of these days. Darcy, second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? I want to thank everybody for coming in tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Take care.
You bet. Have a good night.
See y'all next month.